Okay, hello everyone. My name is Milena Danic and I come from Faculty of Agriculture here in Novi Sad. My part of the contribution was related to the general impact of the environment in context of climate change and the uptake of micronutrients, of course, in plants. First of all, it has already been indicated that the climate change will be a serious challenge in terms of feeding the world's growing population. And nowadays we have a lot of climate models which predict an increase in temperature, also CO2 level, and changes in rainfall patterns. And all of these are main consequences of climate change, global climate change, which are definitely will affect agriculture from many points of view. For example, it is estimated that plants' elemental composition will be changed in the high CO2 level world. Later on, concerning micronutrients in plants, I will just emphasize that the difference between macro and micronutrients in plants is that micros are also essential for plant metabolism, but in a less amount than macronutrients. Here, in the table in front of you, you can see some basic functions of essential micronutrients for plants. For example, we can see that boron is involved in carbohydrate synthesis and also sugar transport in plants. Copper is important for carbohydrate and nitrogen metabolism, results in stunting growth of plants if we have a deficiency in copper, and so on. As I mentioned before, the three main consequences of climate change will be drought, intense drought events. So in case in developing country, crop yields decrease exponentially with the increasing aridity. Soil moisture directly impacts crop productivity through its influence on the availability and transport of soil micronutrients. Nutrients are carried to the roots of plants by water due to what soil moisture deficit decreases nutrient diffusion over short distances, and as a consequence of this, root growth and also its function are declined or impaired. Here you can see some basic examples of drought impact on micronutrient availability. As you can see here, in wet soils, the ferro-fatty ratio is higher, which results in higher iron availability in plants, and furthermore, drought may reduce conversion of elements such as manganese to its reduced forms, which are more soluble for plant acquisition. Also, there are studies which indicate that there is an increase of chlorine concentration in leaves and also roots of, for example, papaya after more than a month of exposure to water stress. Hence, together with organic solutes, these chlorine ions contribute to osmotic adjustment in plants, and therefore, under conditions of low supply of water, symptoms are visible mainly in area meristems, young leaves, and also reproductive organs. We have such examples for copper and also boron, which deficiencies are mainly seen in soils with high pH and also under drought conditions. The lower diffusion of zinc in dry soils restricts uptake of zinc and may cause the symptoms of zinc deficiency in plants. On the contrary of drought, we have the effect of intense precipitation on micronutrient acquisition as a consequence of changed rainfall patterns. We can say that despite the main result of intense precipitation may be water lodging and also surface erosion, which both may cause a significant cost of nutrients for plants. Also, the change in soil redox status, for example, under water lodging may lead to different elemental toxicities, for example, of manganese, iron, boron, and so on. Another result of hypoxia in the soil is that active transport of ions into root cells is driven by ATP synthesized through oxygen-dependent mitochondrial electron transport chain. At the end, we have the effect of high temperatures and also elevated CO2 level on micronutrient acquisition in plants. So if higher temperatures result in extreme vapor pressure deficit, which can trigger stomatal closure because of reduced water diffusion pathways in leaves of plants, and as a result of this, we have nutrient acquisition which is declined. Decreased water content of soil driven by high temperatures may slow nutrient acquisition. And when it comes to CO2 level, projections for the end of the present centuries suggest that CO2 level is going to go up to 700 ppms and more, and the raise of temperature is going to be from 1.88 to 4 degrees, and crops will sense and also respond directly to the combination of elevated CO2 level and also higher temperatures through processes of photosynthesis and also stomatal closure. At the end, I would like to conclude that main consequences of climate changes such as elevated CO2 level, higher temperatures, or intense precipitation will definitely have the mostly negative impact on overall agricultural production in a way that they will affect plant metabolism and by that change the plant phenology. At the end, I would like just to summarize our SSG activity. In previous sections, climate change impacts on different aspects of crop production was described. The question which arises is how can crop productivity be increased while ensuring the sustainability of agriculture and also the environment for future generations. These changes in environmental conditions may substantially alter nitrogen balance and also cycling, which links geosphere, biosphere, and also atmosphere, thus producing considerable challenges in terms of nitrogen management. Additional studies that investigate plant hydraulics over space and time are greatly needed to assess the vulnerability of crops to climate change and also to the possibilities to improve plant resilience. The results suggest that the use of indices, as Lucas mentioned before, will become even more valuable tool for researchers to gain better understanding of global climate change effect on agriculture. And given the potential adverse effect on agriculture that could bring about climate change, it is very worthwhile to conduct more in-depth studies and analysis to gauge the extent of problems that agriculture in general may be facing in the future. Thank you.